Right. So, bring your hands into Namaskaram. Close your eyes. Deep inhalation. Exhalation. Inhale. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidhyakena yopakarottam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Slowly rub your palms. Keep at the face. Deep inhale, exhale. Slowly bring your hands down. Look at your palms. Great. So a very good evening to all of you. So let's get started with today's session. Let me share my screen. Great. So just to start with a small summary. So okay, can you hear me now? Yeah? Great. Okay. Technical problems. That's good. All right. So I was telling, so we were discussing Patanjali Yoga Sutras, right? So Patanjali Yoga Sutras is a method, a very logical step-by-step method, which is like a garland of words, garland of sutras, meaning one after the other, which is arranged it in such a way that it will help you to step-by-step understand the journey towards samadhi, right? So in that journey, so what is yoga we talked about, and then we talked about yoga, what are the states of the mind and how to control your states of the mind, and to go there, what are the things you need to do, right? So today we are going to step into a different thing called samadhi. So what are the stages of samadhi, right? But before that, let me quickly take you through the summary of what we have discussed so far. So we said Patanjali is a grammarian, he's an expert in Ayurveda, and he's the compiler of Yoga Sutras. He's not the writer or the originator of Yoga Sutras, but he's the one who compiled the Yoga Sutras. So what do you call it as a sutra? Sutra is something which has a bigger meaning, but compiled in such a little number of words. So for that, the language that he used is Sanskrit, right? So I would prefer if you can switch on the video so that, we are connected, right? And then, so in this Yoga Sutra, we have 4 chapters, which consist of 195, 196 sutras. So which comes in 4 chapters called Samadhipada, Sadhanapada, Vibhutipada, and Kaivalyapada. So Samadhipada talks about the contemplation, and Sadhanapada, sadhana is specifically is what you call as the practice, right? Vibhutipada, how to reach dharana, dhyana, samadhi, what are those states? And then Kaivalyapada is basically the chitta, vritti, nirodha. So the beauty is, second sutra, action stops at the 196 sutra, right? So second, with 5 words, he explained what is yoga. And then he take 195 sutras to say how to reach there, right? Right. So then we went to, so we talked about the invocation. The meaning of the invocation is, he is a soul that who has cleaned the words through grammar, body through Ayurveda, and now yoga, the mind through yoga, right? To that sage of sages, I put my hands together and give my pranam. Then Samadhipada, so we talked about Hatha Yoga Anushasanam. Right now is the time we explore the journey of yoga. Then what is yoga? Is to Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Chitta, we learned last week a little bit into detail. What is Chitta? Vrittis are the changes in your Chitta or the thought flow, right? Vritti Nirodha is bringing them into a halt or making them control, right? Then we said Trada Drishtu Swarupe Avasthanam. Otherwise, then when you bring the Chitta Vritti to a Nirodha, right, you actually come to the true self within you, right? Otherwise, when there is a thought comes, the mind takes the form of the thought and then get carried away with that, right? Then we said Vrittaya, Pranchataya, Krishta, Akrishta. These pure and impure states of the mind is 5-fold. What are those 5-fold? We said Pramana, Viparya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smritayaha. Pramana is right knowledge. What is right knowledge? We know the snake as the snake, rope as the rope. Viparya is we see a rope and then we think that's a snake. Vikalpa is we don't know whether it's a snake or a rope, or we don't have enough information. Then Nidra, without dreams, you go to a sleep state. That is also another stage. Then Smritayaha, which is the memory. So without any modification, you recollecting something to your mind is what you call as Smritayaha, right? Then we said Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agama, Pramanani, right? So what is direct perception is it can be the direct knowledge or inference or from sacred texts or factual, right? Direct perception is this is that, this is it. We know that. Inference is there is a smoke, there should be a fire, right? And then from sacred text, so the text tells us, just like Patanjali Yoga Sutras, you do this, you will reach here. These are the do's, these are the don'ts, right? So we take them. And then Pramanani, so basically whatever the factual proof. Then we talked about Viparya Mityajnanam Atadrupa Pratishtham, right? Meaning erroneous knowledge comes through the non-factual information, right? So you see a road, down the road you see water. Actually, it's mirage, something like that. Then we said Sabda Jnananupati Vastu Shunyo Vikalpaha. Vikalpaha is the language can convey what does not exist as exist. So we said one day that vehicle went like a wind, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? Then we said Abhava Pratya Alambana Vrittir Nidra. Dreamless sleep is a state of consciousness where the existence is not felt, right? Then we said, so basically we tried to categorize things into different buckets, right? I'm going a little early, a little faster, but I will stop, right? So the first 4 sutras, he talked about what is yoga. right? So that is the explanation in the first sutra. So he talked about what is yoga. Then he spoke about the 5 compulsive states of yoga, right? So what are the compulsive states of yoga? So he said, right knowledge, illusory knowledge, the language, the misconception, right perception, misconception, doubt, deep sleep, and memory, right? Then he talked about, last time we talked about chitta, right? So different philosophies, how they explain chitta and what actually Patanjali explains. So then we said, okay, we are going to call it the mind or the mind field or mind stuff, right? Then we said, okay, from these compulsive states, the mind takes a form of these compulsive thoughts. Then when those compulsive thoughts are not there, you come to the true self. Then for you to come to that true self, there is something we need to do. So how to reach the yoga? We said we need to control the mind. Okay, so I will take a pause here. So may I ask you whether you have any questions so far here, because we are going to go to a little tiny complicated area today. All okay? Can I have a thumbs up if you're okay? Yeah. Understood. Anything? I'm more than willing to go back and explain it. Great. So fine. So we will move ahead. So I take silence as no problem. Let's go ahead. Okay. So what are the ways to control your mind? Patanjali explains 2 words in this. So he says, Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha. Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha. So what is Abhyasa? Repeated practice. Vairagya, freedom from desires or detachment, or you go beyond attachment, is what you call as detached, right? So you don't identify yourself with something that you love. So you see something, then you don't actually you don't want to be attached to it, right? You see a nice person, you see a nice vehicle, you see a nice place. So you are not keep on thinking about it, and because then it will end up as suffering, right? So you don't do that. Then that abhyasa vairagya together will only help to seize the movements of the mind, right? Good. Then he said, Tatra sthitau yatna abhyasa. Tatra, under these circumstances, abhyasa is an effort to continue to be in that state of control in mind. So abhyasa this is an effort to make sure, so our yoga's objective is to seize or control the movements in the mind. So for you to maintain that, or for you to go there, abhyasa is the way to go, right? You need to continuously practice. Now, when you say continuously practice, it has to be prolonged, uninterrupted, and well performed in application of action, right? So, dhirga kala, for a long time, nairantarya, without interruption, satkara, well performed, asevitaha, practice it with great enthusiasm, right? Then only it can create a druda bhumi, right? What is a druda bhumi? A solid, firm ground, right? How you create a druda bhumi? By practicing it for a long time without interruptions, with dedication, enthusiasm, you go there, right? So, for an example, today morning in the yoga class, we did a 1 hour of meditation, right? So then I thought the meditation really worked and people loved it and everything, right? So then what I did is, before I put the screenshot to the group, I just watched the recording. Then I see in the middle, people wake up And then they try to walk around, they try to stretch their knees, and then again come back to the meditation. Say again, after some time, the face tells, no, no, can't stay. But the beauty is, we just stayed in Sukhasana, not even Vajrasana, right? Just keeping the feet crossed like this, sitting down 1 hour, not possible, right? So if you take that as an asana, right? So even that you apply the abhyasa, meaning prolonged, uninterrupted practice, if you have done with dedication, no problem. Because when you go to meditation, actually you forget about, or you go beyond your body. Then you don't feel your legs, whether your legs are there or not or whatever. But then when the abhyasa is not strong enough, legs are giving nerve pulses saying, hey, 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 wake up, wake up, wake up, right? Can't stay anymore like that, right? Don't get upset. I'm just kidding, okay? But it's a good example at the end of the day, right? Okay. So that is abhyasa. So just like that, even to cease the movement of mind drama also, it will not come to you in one day. If you sit down one day and observe your thoughts, and then you identify, okay, these thoughts are coming to me. So now I am getting an angry thought. Now what should I do? Why this angry thought is coming, right? So then I analyze that and I try to, seize it. Now, after 2 minutes, I wake up and go. And then when I get up, I actually get up because somebody else is talking to me. And then I totally forget that day's practice. And for the next 2 weeks, you don't practice. Then again, you realize, oh, there's a class coming up, right? Yeah, let's do some practice. So that is not abhyasa, right? Abhyasa is you have to have a dedicated time slot for that specific task. And then you have to do it with shraddha, right? With enthusiasm. And you need to perform it well. So on a particular day, you say, okay, this particular asana, I'm going to achieve, you achieve that asana that day. And this particular asana, I'm going to stay for 15 minutes. I'm going to stay there for 15 minutes. That's it. No negotiations, right? So that's the discipline that you need to bring to your abhyasa, right? Then, so abhyasa, so these are it. So for you to get into a firm yogic foundation, it has to be long time, earnestness has to be there, attention to detail has to be there, application has to be done through with devotion, right? So that's why when a monk or any type of a priest related to any religion, when they go to the priesthood, they don't become enlightened on a day or two. So why they go to the priesthood is they want to do the abhyasa on a full-time basis, not on a part-time basis. So when you want to do the abhyasa for a full-time basis, you go there. So that is a commitment, that is enthusiasm, right? You have that attention always running in your mind, right? Okay, then we talked about what is Vairakyam, right? So Vairakyam, Drishta Anushravika Vishaya Vitrushnasya Vashikara Sanyana Vairakyam. So Drishta, visible, Anushravika, heard or listened. Vishaya is the matter, right? Vitrushnasya, freedom from the desire. So what is the nice meaning of all these words coming in? Basically, renunciation is the practice of detachment with what you, from the desires seen, unseen, heard or unheard. Meaning, for an example, you see some food, right? Let's say my nice example is coffee, right? So you go to a particular coffee house one day, maybe by accident, right? Because you wanted to drink something, you are tired, so you just find a coffee shop and then you just walk in, right? So now when you walk into the coffee shop, so you drink the coffee and then you walk out. But now once you walk out, this becomes a memory. So this is something seen and heard now, heard, even tasted, right? Now what happens, because that coffee had some nice flavor and a smell and something, you want to again go there, again go there, again go there, and then you get addicted, right? So that is, you get into something, what you have seen, heard and experienced. Then the other thing is, so you go and talk about that particular coffee with somebody else, with your friends. Then what happens is they are saying, oh, no, 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 not that place. There is another place which has a better coffee than that. So they put these particular ingredients which they buy from this particular part of the world, which is like so scarce. And then you get all these types of inputs to your mind. Then what happens is, then again you get a Trishna with something that you haven't seen and haven't experienced. But there is a Trishna comes in, right? So you need to go beyond both of this. Whatever you have experienced, felt, tasted, touched, heard, or whatever you haven't seen but heard of, or something you have even unheard of, but with the imagination you are attached to something, right? So you need to go beyond these things, right? There are a couple of more qualities. I will come to that in a couple of seconds. Then tat param purusha khyate guna vaitrishnam, the highest knowledge of the soul. So soul is the highest knowledge. So your real self is what we call as the self, or the true self within you. So you can reach to that highest self, right? Not only by not liking to things that you have seen or not seen or heard or unheard, but the root of those things are the gunas in this world. The sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna, right? So you need to go even beyond that. Then you come to the real self within you, right? Now, question was, so I like coffee, but then I know coffee is not good. Let's say coffee has caffeine or some, so there's a particular coffee, let's say X coffee, some coffee. So I love it, right? Then what happens is, then I know this is not going to be helping my yoga journey. So sometimes certain food that you intake, it actually restricts your body movement, mind movement. It makes you dull, right? It gives more tamasic guna, lazy, lethargic gunas. Or there are certain food, when you eat, drink, they actually bring you to a rajasic state, very active state. Or there are certain food which will balance everything. It doesn't affect. Even if you eat that food, it doesn't affect, right? But it will take care of the food body of yours, right? So you need to go beyond that, right? Meaning, if I want to stop drinking coffee, not liking coffee is not the answer, right? You need to go beyond the coffee, right? So those states we will discuss, right? So these are the rajas, tamas, sattva, guna, which we talked about. So tamasic things are basically the lethargic, makes you slow, makes you like, a feeling of negative, destructive, something like that. And the rajasic, from tamasic to rajasic, is those lethargy is gone, but you are very active. So you are always a person like, I want to respond to you, I want to respond to you, I want to respond to you. Right, what's next? Let's do this, let's do this. What next? Like. So you might not even take the time to think, but you are so much of action oriented. Then sattva guna people, so you do the amount, whatever it is required to do, but you are always indifferent from the situation, right? You're not affected, right? If when you are going on a vehicle on the road, if the traffic is there, so traffic is there, what to do, right? There's no point jumping inside the vehicle, right? So understanding that reality, you're a very balanced person, right? Then, so we talked about what are the chitta bhumis, the ways of mind. So moodha is forgetful, blinded, or possessed with sleep factor. So like or not, lot of people within us, we are in the mood, right? So imagine, okay, you tell someone, so you have a particular to-do list for the day. I have to call this person, I have to do this, 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 right? At the end of the day, you at least maybe written it somewhere. When you see it, you haven't done anything, and then you think, these things didn't even come to my mind, right? These things, what I wanted to do, didn't even come to my mind. Why? Because your mind is so busy running around all the places, right? And otherwise you are more like into so sleepy and dull, and it doesn't matter, I'll do it tomorrow. That's what I said, the Saturday morning yoga class. Yeah. 7 a.m. How hard to get up at 7 a.m. Why can't you do the class at 9 a.m.? Right? We should have woke up and had a nice bath and everything, and we'd have come, right? Then Shipta is restless. So actually, mood person is not a person with too many thoughts in your mind. The restless person, Shipta person, is the restless. So again, these are the type of people in our society that we live with. These people, maybe I'm one of them, you're one of them, don't know, right? So these people always restless mind. So you're worried about things. You want to do this, then what will happen? Will the person blast at me, scold me? I don't know what will happen, right? So let's think for the best and everything. So likewise, always burning, right? And then you have Vikshipta people. So these are the people who can't take a decision at all, right? Not able to take a decision. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I learn the theory of yoga, or should I go for Hatha yoga? Hatha yoga or this one or that one, right? So you are in a very abstract level, right? You are only looking at the topic, this or this, this or this. You don't go into detail for you to study and understand, this is what I really want. And the other thing is, you are not even clear with yourself, right? When you are not clear with yourself, how do you know what decisions you should take? Right side or left side? Don't know. Then the Ekagra. So Ekagra people, these are one-pointed. So let's say these are the people, can be spiritual path, non-spiritual path. So they always have one goal, one target in their mind. So whatever they do in their life, they will do it towards that particular action or particular outcome. For an example, it can be a businessman or a CEO. So always he is thinking about, that organization's goal. So even his behavior, the way he walks, the way he talks, to whom he is talking to, what level of information he is giving out, taking in, right? How much he is going to get distracted with things. Everything is related to one particular objective. It can be the company goals, right? So he is living like a religion in that. Spiritual person on the other way around. So he will also, he will make sure that his life is around the spiritual domain always, right? So while he's walking, he has one thought in his mind. Same thought while he's eating. Compassion, looking at an animal, looking at a human, talking to a person. All these things, everything is around one point. So these are the people actually you can categorize, and sometimes people say, yeah, he is this type of person. Whatever he talks, whatever he sees, if you go to his room, it's the same. If you go to talk with him, it's the same. Whatever he reads is the same. Look at his phone, that's the same. Look at his vehicle, it's the same. Right? Look at his house itself, it's the same. Look at what he talks, that's the same. Look at what he hears, that's the same. Right? Then you have Niruddha, is completely restrained. All these things, basically your mind waves are brought down. The vrittis have come to minimum, controlled. Right? Good. Then we talked about Vairakya. So when it comes to Vairakya, now let's take the coffee example again. First of all, Yat Manana, meaning I disengage the senses from enjoyment of a thing. So I know, okay, so if I drink coffee, I know it's not good for my health, let's say, right? So I want to stop it, right? So I will, so even if I drink a coffee, now I don't get that beautiful feeling that I used to enjoy before, right? Because you have made a decision, okay, that's it, done, right? Then why Vyaktireka is keep away from the desire. Then Ekindriya, now you keep away from the desire. Okay, I don't want coffee, right? It's not that, I hate coffee or I love coffee. I just don't want coffee, right? Then I leave it aside. But when a really good coffee, like a proper brew coffee smell comes to your nose, right? The saliva comes out and you get into those beautiful memories of how you were enjoying coffees, and then you're like, no, it's okay, no coffee, right? So those are the feeblest desires remain in mind. So these are like you have the ashes, and then little fire bubbles are there, which can any time come. So if you touch the ashes, you will get burnt. But when you look at the ashes, it's just ashes, right? But the feeblest thoughts, feeblest desires are keeping remaining inside, right? So they say now normally in a lot of these Jataka stories and all. So there were a lot of monks who had desires, but because of some pressure, they go to monkhood. Then what happens is you can't stay in the monkhood, right? So sometimes it can be, some kama tanha, right? So you can't stay away from those things, right? So they suffer actually, right? So then you have to go through certain specific sadhana for you to get out of it, right? So those are to get out of the feeblest desire. So you think, okay, I'm out of this, so I'm done with it. I'm so tired of something, right? I don't want this again, right? But feeblest desires are there. So what you do is there are specific exercises for those. You do those with abhyasa to get into the Vairagya state, right? And then Vashikara is all senses have been brought under control. So let somebody just take a coffee in front of me, drink a coffee in front of me, and then say, nice coffee and all. So first of all, the nose, and then the eyes, and then the ears, right? What a nice coffee and this, that, and the other. Still no problem. Right. Then comes the Paravairagya. This is the highest state of renunciation. Now it doesn't matter. So even if a coffee comes in front of you, go out of it. Is it coffee, water? It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that I control myself by not letting my senses to go and take the coffee, right? It's just that it doesn't matter to me at all, right? No problem. I have withdrawn my senses. I have moved on beyond the coffee, right? So that is the state of Vairagya. So we said Abhyasa and Vairagya are like two wings of a bird. You can do Abhyasa, right? But without Vairagya, the yoga goal will not come, right? Other things will come. Abhyasa will make you a nice yogi or the Hatha yogi. You can do all the asana, right? But without Vairagya, the goal of yoga will not be achieved. Gymnastic can be achieved, no problem, right? Then you have Vairagya. So Vairagya again, you don't have the Trishna, right? You are beyond that. But if you don't exercise it for a prolonged period, the Trishna will come back to you, right? So if you want to get rid of certain, so for an example, you want to get out of a particular thought. For an example, a past memory is disturbing you. So we all have certain past memories. Sometimes some people wake up in the dream because of a memory of an accident, right? Some people, they are so scared of exam. Sometimes they see the exam happening next day. You're not ready. They experience the exam hall experience, and then they wake up and they're like, oh, thank God, that was just a dream. Thank you. Right? So, or it can be even related to a person, a relationship, or it can be maybe somebody who died, right? So all these things can come and haunt you. So at that point, you go to a therapist, and then the therapist say, okay, look here, this is the good part of it, and this is the bad part of it, right? So you need to renounce the bad part of it, or all this kind of thing, and then get out of it. So that day you say, oh my God, that whatever this money you spent for that therapist was like, it's fully paid off, right? That day after going to the therapist, I felt so good. If that is the case, you don't need to go to the therapist next week. But by next week, again, your mind state comes down. Little come. Again, you want to go to the therapist. Again, the therapist need to put the fuel in, right? Why? Because that particular Vairakya, you felt that moment was not sustained because you did not abhyasa it. So the bird will fall. So again, the vet need to come, fix the wings, and then let the bird fly. Right? So that's why these are like the two wings. With one wing, you can't fly. With one hand, you can't clap. Right? So you always need two hands to make noise with the clap. Otherwise, you can try to clap. Right? Only the sound will come with two hands. Abhyasa and Vairakya. Right? Good. So let me take a pause here. So may I ask if you have anything to clarify so far? You can unmute and let me know. Good. Or you like, I didn't get anything. Okay, good. So next, what we are... Dushanti, you want to ask something?
Yes.
Yes.
Vairakya is like you take away the desires, is it?
Go beyond the desires.
Go beyond the desires. But if you want to achieve a goal and you do abhyasa, to achieve that, you need a certain desire to achieve that goal. Isn't that so?
Correct. But what the desire, what you talk is actually not to achieve that. The desire is for the results of the achievement.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
So when you are doing something, let's say I want to sit, you are sitting for an exam, right? You are sitting, or let's say like this, you want to run a marathon, right? So you want to win the marathon, but actually what you are attached to it is now, once you win, the glory that you get, the publicity that you get, or the sense of achievement, or the enjoyment, or how you can actually explain your this thing, right? So that is, so you, what it says is, don't get attached to that, right? You do the abhyasa, you do the task, right? Don't get attached to the outcomes of it, right? So why we say that, why Vairagya is defined like that is, for an example, you practice yourself to a marathon, right? Then, so you have a particular desire, I want to win this, I want to become the first place, right? Then I will be at the podium. All these things will, keep on coming. Then you lose it. You lose the marathon, right? Then, because you had all those desires, you are only ending up with disappointment, right? So basically, that's why they say, why ragya is a desire. Vairagya is not, I don't have that desire. It's not that I don't like the desire. I completely shut down the desire. No, let the desire be there, but I go beyond it. So why I practice is, yeah, if I practice well and everything, I will win the marathon, right? So once I win the marathon, I win the marathon. That's it. Right? Then I move on to a different state. I'll go to a countrywide marathon. Then I might go to a worldwide marathon, right? But if you have a particular target and if you get attached to that target, what happens is, one is your mind is then very shallow focused. Two is your mind is actually now going towards that winning only. So if you fail it, not only you just fail a marathon, then you have ego problems, the depression, and all these things will come, right? Best example, you seem like not convinced, so I will take another example, right? So we do Hatha Yoga Asana, right? So when we do Hatha Yoga Asana, so we say, okay, I want to do, let's say, Padmasana. So I want to do Padmasana, then I practice it every day. I practice it. Then at some point you feel like, I really can't do this Padmasana, right? So that is, you set a goal and then you practice towards it. But if you practice it like, I will practice my abhyasa. So I am supposed to do this particular asana every day, attempt to do this particular asana every day, attempt to do number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8. You just practice it every day, right? No desire. So if Padmasana comes, let Padmasana come, right? Otherwise, you keep on practicing. Because otherwise, what happens is when you have this particular goal becomes a trishna inside of you. It becomes a desire. When the desire comes, the desire leads to different other thoughts. It amplifies within you, right? So first of all, you wanted to do Padmasana. Now you want to do Padmasana better than this other person, right? Then you want to do Padmasana, then somebody talks about Padmasana, you want to talk more about Padmasana because now you have become an expert. You are trying to become an expert. So all these byproducts in the mind will come when you have that attachment to it. But if you don't have that attachment, I practice. I keep on practicing. Padmasana comes, fine, let Padmasana come today. You move on from Padmasana to Tolasana, right? So likewise, you keep on moving. Otherwise, if you have a Trishna, two things. One is, if you don't achieve it, you will end up in disappointment. All your abhyasa to everything will become a complete something which will stand against you, right? Number two is, you have an end goal now. Actually, in life and everything, you don't have an end goal. In spirituality also, you don't have an end goal. So basically, it's a journey that you are going through, right? But if you keep on going through the journey, keeping faith on the journey, what happens is, it will give all these things. But since you are not getting attached to it, you move on. Another classic example, right? A yoga teacher, yoga instructor. So the yoga instructor will, so these are a lot of yogis in internet to all these places. So everybody is doing Hatha Yoga Asana, right? And show this, that, and the other, right? So what happens is, they think they come to a state where, if I learn 86 basic asanas, I know Hatha Yoga. Then, so my goal is now reached. So once you reach the goal, you actually don't know where to go from there. Then you start teaching the asana. Then you become a yoga asana teacher for the rest of your life, right? You put a target, you achieved it, now you have no idea what to go from there, right? Because you are so attached to that target and you have the sense of achievement. I learned the 86 yoga asana. Now you become a yoga teacher for the rest of your life, right? But if your objective is, I want to explore Hatha Yoga, right? So then you will explore Hatha Yoga, 86, 87, 89, 90, 100, it doesn't matter. You keep on going for it. Then what happens is, basically now there is no target or some attachment is not there with an outcome. So you will keep on going and you might even embed certain other things to that. You keep on moving. So it becomes actually a journey. Your journey will continue if you don't have a desire to stop somewhere. If you have a desire to stop somewhere, you stop there and you lose the game, right? So if you see even a lot of, actors, actresses, sportsmen, sportswomen, and everybody, whoever has reached to the international layer, actually, they come to the school layer, then they go to the city layer, country layer, region layer, cluster layer, then international layer. Why? For that, you continuously keep on working. And there is no set target. If I work this much, that's enough. No, continuously go. When you continuously go, you reaching these milestones are just like, mileposts. Let it just pass, right? I hope I have answered your question. Yeah, good. Any other things? you have. Great. So, superb. So what we'll do is we will move on. Right. Now, today we are going to talk about Samadhi. Now, before we go into Samadhi, you can explain Samadhi with the most simplest way. Right? Two ways to explain it. One is you can explain it with the most simplest way, because we are at Sutra number 17 to 22 is what we are going to explore. Right? Or you can put all the jargons to this and explain it in a very complicated way. But I will only take Patanjali's Yoga Sutra and I will only explain what Patanjali has said. To support that, Vyasa has given commentary, and then B.K. Iyengar has put some commentary. There are different commentators, right? The Samkhya philosophy is talking about it. So those things, like how I taught you the Chitta, once we pass and move on, I'll come and explain what are those and how it is connected to this, right? So when we learn for the first time, we don't need to complicate everything, okay? Right. So we are going to Sutra number 17. So Sutra number 17 to 22, which it will talk about the states of Samadhi. Now, why they talk about the states of Samadhi? Because now, first of all, we learn what is yoga. Then the compulsive states of mind. Now, how to control the compulsive states of mind is through Abhyasa and Vairakya, right? So what is this controlling of the states of mind is actually what is called as Samadhi, right? So when you control it through using Abhyasa and Vairakya, these are the states that you can reach to. So that's why we are going to learn about Samadhi next, okay? Right. So Sutra number 17. So it says, Vitarka Vichara Ananda Asmita Rupa Anugamat Samprajnataha. Sorry. Vitarka Vichara Ananda Asmita Rupa Anugamat Samprajnataha. Meaning, there is a particular layer of Samadhi. So none of us are going to enlighten tomorrow. Okay? None of us are going to sit today and but enlighten done. So none of us are going to go to the final state of Samadhi like that. It's always like a ladder. So in a ladder, you have one step, you have a next step, you have a next step. So likewise. So now we are going to talk about the most basic step of Samadhi. So this level of Samadhi comes with Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita Rupa, then Anugamat, Samprajnataha, right? Meaning, practice and detachment develop 4 types of Samadhi, right? So number 1, first type of Samadhi is analytical thinking. So when something is happening in front of you, what we normally do is we just respond to it. For an example, nice example, right? When the child is screaming, a 2-year-old child is screaming in front of the father, and when the 2-year-old child is screaming in front of the mother, what is the difference, right? Father will say, this child is crying, right? Can't you take him and, give something to eat and, make him stop crying? Right? So father will want normally a result, right? What is the problem? Child is crying. What is the solution? Child is not crying, right? So do something. So that is actually reaction. But a mother, with the way the child is walking, if the hands are keeping in front, she knows, okay, this is one problem. If the hands are behind, that's another problem. If the child is keeping the hands like this and coming and screaming, another problem, right? And if the child is there screaming sitting, standing, screaming, again sitting, she knows it's another problem. So for all of it, food is not your, or food and the toy is not your solution. You might need to feed the child. You might need to take the child out. You might need to take the child to the pet or the little cat, let them play, right? Or you need to change the pampers of the child, right? You need to change the clothes of the child. A child need to go to the bathroom. So mother's mind is working in such an analytical way, she find the solution, she actually do an analytics. Okay, what is the issue? Let's do this. Father sometimes, because of lack of knowledge, child is crying, make him not crying. Do something about it. Call the mother, right? So that could be the way. So one level of samadhi is vitarka. You need to have the analytical thinking. So that's where, so how can this go to samadhi? Now, father's approach, if you take, child came, cried, called the mother, mother took the child, left. Problem solved. Again, go back to office work, right? Tomorrow also the same thing happens. Again, the same solution. Next day also the same thing happens. Again, the same solution. So basically, you had a problem in front of you, but you didn't understand why the problem is happening like that. As far as you don't understand why the problem happened, how can you get a peace of mind? Because all what you know is there's a problem happens like this. If that happens, you do this, right? That's it. But mother's case, she is in a very cool state. Ah, yeah, the child is screaming like that because she wants that particular toy, that specific toy, right? Or she can't reach to something, right? Or she's hungry. So you know the problem, you know the answer, you sort it, it's gone from the mind, right? And you are well aware, you are very much in awareness. This is the problem, this is the solution. Now the problem is sorted for 2 hours. Again, it will start. So you are well aware about it. Father's thing, you knew the problem. I'm actually not criticizing mothers and fathers. I'm just taking 2 characters as examples, right? So father's thing, what happened is, problem came, you don't know what is the problem is, you don't know the solution is, take it away, right? So your problem is always, you, my child is always screaming in front of me, right? How can I stop this? So are you aware? No. Are you cool-minded or less thoughts in your mind? No. Problem is running continuously. That is vitarka. So if you have the analytical thinking, you come to a particular state of samadhi. Next layer is called vichara. So vichara is not that you are throwing random questions. You want to get something to a root cause. So in IT, normally, when we work, so when an incident happens, a system goes out for 2 hours. So vitarka is not going to work. Vitarka will help you to answer the questions from each person. When did you restart the server, right? Then when did you deploy the change in the server? Did you do a post-change implementation checklist? Were there any issues? What were the issues? Who attended to those? So he will ask a couple of questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For an example, if you take a dal curry, right? Curry is not tasting good. So first of all, you ask, who made it? Is it mother or brother? Who made it? A brother, yeah, but brothers, this is the problem. Yeah, if he make the dal, it's gone. You can't eat, right? When it comes to vichara, who made the dal curry? Because it doesn't taste good. Oh, brother. Ah, okay. So brother made the dal curry. So when the brother make the dal curry is not good. Okay, now let's get into the next layer. Why brother's dal curry is not good, right? So now you see, okay, fine. So how much of whatever the ingredients that you put, right? Salt, how much? The spices, how much? Did you put cinnamon to that or not? Did you put I don't know, karapincha or whatever? Did you put it or not? Whether the smell was there, so did you put this ingredient or not? So that level, going to understand the root cause, identifying the root cause analysis is what you call as vichara. Not only just throwing the questions, right? Now you know if the child is crying at a particular way, okay, the child is crying, you need to change the pamper, but then why cry like this, right? So where is the discomfort coming in? Then, okay, problem is actually not the pampers, the way how you have worn the pampers. Who did it? Not the mother, not the father. Oh, the brother. That is the problem. He don't know how to do it. He don't know to get the right one. From which pharmacy did you bought it? What brand did you bring? All these questions, the root cause level, it will go to vichara. So vichara will go to a level that the logic comes to an end. No logic from there onwards. You come to the root level of the problem, right? Then ananda is another level of samadhi. So when somebody walks in front of you, you know, you don't see the outer beauty of the person, right? You see, okay, some life form is walking in front of me, which is made out of gels, water, mamsa, the muscles, bones, and filled with excretion, and everything is coming on, and then no problem, right? So they say normally enlightenment. So even we call in Buddhism Rahatan Mahansela, right? Arahat. So these set of people, so these monks, when you see something, you see the reality of it. When you see a beautiful vehicle, you know this vehicle is made out of 5 elements. It's just a matter of the composition of the body is like this, and the engine is like this, just making some noise and walking by. What? It goes from A to B, right? So likewise, so you see the reality of it, then what happens? Nothing can disturb you. You are in full-time happiness. When a child is screaming also, yeah, the children scream. So, I mean, what to be so upset about it, right? The dog scratch your vehicle. The dog scratch your sofa. That's the dog's nature. Why? Because you haven't given the proper toys for the dog to play. You haven't given enough attention to the dog. Simple as that, right? So when you know it, when you know the reality of these things, nothing disturbs you. You are in full-time happiness, full-time high. Not the correct word to use it, but full-time joyful, right? Because you see something in its utmost real form. Yeah? Then vitarka, vichara, ananda, asmita rupa, meaning the sense of I. So I-ness. So this I-ness, we will talk a little bit in detail in the future, right? So I-ness, a self is there, right? By following this method, you come to the samprajñata samadhi. In Buddhism, this samprajñata samadhi, or whatever mentioned here, is what you call as rupavachara dhyana, right? Rupavachara dhyana there's something called kasina. Kasina is for you to bring your mind to a particular state. There is a particular object given to you. So they say, imagine of water. Observe the water. Think of water only, how the water is made out of. Or think of some rock or something like that. So there are different objects given to you. So based on that, you bring the mind to something. So you do the vichara. So you do the reasoning about it. Then you ask questions about it, right? And then you actually totally your awareness and everything is on that. And then, so that is what you call as rupavachara dhyana. This is basically the cognizance. So there is an object, right? Okay, so I will move on to the next one as well. I'll just take 5 minutes, right? Because the next week lesson will be very easier. Then we come to a next layer. Virama pratyayabhyasa purvaha samskara, sorry, Virama pratyayabhyasaha rupaha samskara sheshonyaha. Samskara sheshonyaha. Right? Samskara is whatever you talk, whatever you do, whatever you think, talk, and do. You are collecting samskara, right? Collecting things for the next life, right? Is it good thoughts or are you good karma, bad karma, right? I like to hate that person. Next life, maybe you will born as a child of that person, right? So something like that. So samskara. So cessation, virama. Virama is what? Interval. In the Sinhala language also, viramaya is interval. So viram, cessation, stop it, right? Take a break. Pratyaya, cognition principle, right? Abhyasa, practice. Purva, preceded by, preceded meaning from here to this one. So this is the predecessor, this is the successor. So A to B, when you are at B, you have preceded A, right? So what is this A is Samprajñata Samadhi, what we talked about. So that Samprajñata Samadhi, when you continuously do it with abhyasa, meaning continuously you do it for prolonged periods with enthusiasm, what happens is cessation of the cognition principle comes into the play. What does that mean? Now, cognition principle is Rupavachara Dhyana, object-oriented, right? When you keep on going in that object-oriented, so you give a casino or something, and then you keep on moving from there, you actually come to the incognizable state, which is, in Buddhism, which is called as Arupavachara Dhyana, right? So, no physical object anymore, right? So, for an example, I look at this pen. So, I think of, I only think about it. So I keep on vitarka, vichara, and then ananda, asmita, rupa, right? Keep on doing the exercise, keep on doing the exercise. What happens is actually, now it's based on this. After some time, I can get into a dhyana or get into a mental state or elevate my mental state. I don't need this to bring my mind to one-pointedness. I wanted an object for you to focus and then bring my mind to one place. What is bringing mind to one place is get away from all these vrittis in the mind. So you are not thinking about anything, you are thinking about this thing, right? So then when I continue this for a long time, I don't need this anymore for me to bring my mind to one place. Right? You had a rupa, now you had a arupa. So this is what in Buddhism they call as aking sanyayatana, neva sanyayatana, aking sanyayatana, and all these things. So higher states of dhyana. So you have the object-oriented dhyana, then you don't need the object anymore, and then you move on from there. Right? Good. Now, bhava pratyayo videha prakriti layana. Bhava, state of being. So everybody of you are enjoying your own bhava, right? You are in a bhava, right? Pratyaya, going towards videha, without material existence, right? So first of all, you had an object, you keep on focusing on this one-pointedness, vitarka, vichara, asmita, rupa, and ananda, and then you come to samprajñata jnana. Then you don't need this anymore for you to bring your mind to a particular point. Then you increase this practice, right? For a long time, what happens is you feel like you merge with the nature, right? You feel like you merged with the nature. Nature is made out of a couple of elements. You are made out of few elements, five elements. So you actually merge with the nature, right? But what happens is then you get into a state of like isolation or state of loneliness, right? Then what happens is in the nature, there are certain energies, right? So this is what sometimes people say, if I want to get some knowledge, I get into a dhyana and I get that knowledge from the nature, right? So you have a little raga towards that dhyana. For an example, let's say music. So what is the energy form for music is what we call as Saraswati. Saraswati is the energy form, name for that energy form of music. Grammar, Vag, Kaushalyam, and Kavi. All for this, the music element is Saraswati. Who is Ganesh? Ganesh is for the jnana, right? So these are the energy forms in this nature. So what happens is you start with an object. Now you don't have an object. Then you increase. You can actually go into these different energy forms, right? Then what happens? If you don't have the Vairagyam, you get stuck there, right? So if you don't have the Vairagyam, you are beyond Raga, what happens is you have some likeness. So based on your likeness, whatever that energy form, it's not only Saraswati or Ganesh, I just took as an example, but there are enough and more forms of energy. There are negative energies in the world, right? You can get stuck into a negative energy as well. So this is where all the sadhus and everyone, so I think every 18 years or somewhere, India even has a festival. So they come out and they show their mental powers. So how they show their mental powers, you actually get into a dhyana through your concentration and do certain things. You make fire. So something like that, right? But you get stuck there if you don't have the Vairagya, right? If you do it with that particular object, you will go there and stuck there. But if you practice it with Vairagyam, you will actually stay in that state and you can even move up from there, right? This is the best way to explain this. You take a radio. How you tune up a radio? You tune the frequency. Can you touch and feel the frequency in the environment? No. You take a mobile phone. How you make a call? Because you are tuned to a particular frequency. The LTE frequency, 3.5G, 3G, 2.5G, 2G, GSM, right? So these frequencies are there. So basically we tune up to those frequencies and then make our call. So how you make that call? Other person also tune up to the same frequency. Now the two mobile phones have a decoding device of voice or SMS or your data, WhatsApp. Data packet comes in that, and then otherwise how the wireless things are working. So basically this is also something like using the energies in the nature. Something like that, your mind also can tune up to a particular frequency of energy. Then you can get certain knowledge out of it. But if you get stuck there, you will get stuck there. Otherwise, you can move on beyond that point. Is it clear? Feels like understood, right? Good. Okay. So don't worry, we will talk about these things. Then, so basically here I have summarized everything. So in the 17th sutra, we talked about samprajñata jnana, right? So this is rupavachara, meaning based object oriented. So how we come there is through vitarka, question, vichara, go to the root level, ananda, no issue, because when you see something, you know the true way of it is, right? Then asmita rupa, you have the sense of I, self, right? So, but the problem is samskaras are there. In this state, in samprajñata jnana, rupavachara or cognitive, samskaras are there. Then from here, with abhyasa, here the word abhyasa need to come in, right? With abhyasa, what happens is you can go to a cognitive, non-object oriented, arupavachara, right? Then what happens is samskaras can become residue, but still the seed of the samskara level is still there, right? Then with Vairagya, right? So, sorry, without Vairagya, if you keep on continuing this, you feel like there is no body, so I am merged with the nature. So sometimes people say, I felt like I am the tree, I am the sand, I am the sky, I am everything, I am everywhere. Have you heard about this? People do explain. Whoever come to this dhyana, they say, I am this, I became one with everything. Right? So then what happens is, so you actually, when you go there without Vairakyam, with attachment, if you try to go there, right? So if you have some level of attachment, then you actually get connected to the same frequency energy forms, right? Then you get stuck there. So people say, I got enlightened, but actually he's stuck in an energy form only. And still the Trishna is there in that. That means still the samskaras are there in a little form, bija form, seed form, right? Then, so these are different types of energy forms. So smriti, art, knowledge, jnanam, all these things will be there. Then, who has sent me something? Okay, no problem, Ari. Okay, then Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purvakaha, Itiresham, right? So for you to go there, you need to have the Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, recollection, Samadhi, perfect absorption of thoughts, Prajna, Purvakaha, and Itiresham. So all these things are required to go from that to this, right? And then Tivra samveganam asanna. Asanna means close. In Sinhala we say asanna is close, right? Samveganam is those who are quick. Tivra means intense. People who do the practices in an intense form with supremely vigorous way are closer to get there. So you have to do your abhyas and vairaka in a tivra form, right? So also you have mrudu, madhya, adimatratvat, steady-minded, right? So if you want to do a soft practice, I meditate once a month. It will take this many number of years. I meditate every week. It will take this many number of years. I meditate, so or it might never happen, right? So based on how tivra is your practice determines how fast and to what state you reach. Okay, these two sutras, totally don't mind about it. I will explain all these Samadhi sutras in the next class as well, right? So from here, we will stop the class, and soon after the closing mantra, please ask all your questions, right? So hands in Anjali Mudra, close your eyes, deep inhale and exhale. Inhale. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Am Shanti Shanti Shanti. Slowly rub your palms. Keep the hands on your face. Inhale, exhale. Slowly bring your palms down. Focus at your palms. So, great. So, I'll stop the recording. You can ask all your questions have right now.